Hello and welcome to Cuesta Sports Monthly, an in-depth look at Cuesta College athletics. I'm Peter Schuler. On this month's show, we'll be joined by swimmers Andy Miller and Matthew McDonnal. We'll also take some time with track and field's Matt Tyler and Christine Moreno. And just before we go, we'll steal a few moments with academic counselor Katherine Gritton. First up on Cuesta Sports Monthly is swimming. I'd like to welcome Andy Miller and Matthew McDonnal to Cuesta Sports Monthly. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good?
Pretty good.
All right. You guys just got done with a big conference swim meet here at Cuesta College. Now we're both kind of waiting now to see who is into state and who's, moving on from the Cuesta College swim team. How do you guys feel after last week's conference championships? I mean, you've had some good races. We have some disappointments as a team, but how do you feel overall, especially in your own pool?
Yeah, it was awesome to be able to swim in our own pool. Definitely, because my sophomore year, just be home and have all of our families come watch us swim, and individually we had some good races, so felt very good about that.
Now, Matt, how did you feel? The guys team finished 6th overall. You were one of the leading point scorers for the team, actually most of the year. How did you feel coming into that championship meet, knowing you're?
I felt pretty good. I felt comfortable in the pool, and I think I swam pretty well.
Now you're hoping to make state in a couple of events. Right now, your top event is the 400 individual medley.
Yeah.
Where you're ranked 9th all time at Cuesta College, which is a pretty good swimming school.
Surprise for me.
What is that your favorite event, or is that kind of just something that you excel at?
It's my favorite event, I guess. Yeah. It's painful though.
It's 100 yards of each stroke. I mean, do you have a favorite stroke? I mean, you swam a lot of butterfly this year as well. Is that?
I think breaststroke is my best stroke.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now, Andy, you also are hoping to qualify in the 400 individual medley. Again, one of the toughest strokes out there, but you're also trying to qualify in the mile. So you've got a couple of the most grueling events out there in the swim sphere. How are you feeling about going to state with those two events?
I feel pretty good about those. It's my first time swimming both of those races this year, and I don't know. I feel like I did pretty well going into state.
Now, last year you qualified on the relays, All-American swimmer on the relays. Yeah. I should note that they've added the 200 of the stroke events for the women, and you are officially part of 5 Cuesta records here as you get towards the end of your sophomore season. So, if you had the individual medley, but you also hold a breaststroke record, and you've pretty much done everything. Do you have a particular event that you feel strongest in, or you just go, what's my lane? Okay, I'm going. See you, coach.
Kinda, yeah. I just like to keep it fresh, swim different races, so I like them all.
All right. Now, as a team, as a group coming in, going to state, how do you guys feel? How's this team worked well to get this year? You guys had a lot of things to overcome early in the season. First month of the season, you did not have our pool to train in. You had to be on the road. So how has that affected your season this year? Do you think, Matt? Just especially distance swimmers not having that kind of yardage behind you.
I think we really stepped up at the end of the season. The beginning of the season was kind of rough for everybody, but conference, everyone did really well.
Yeah. Do you feel kind of that having those struggles early kind of made the team solidify the group a little bit more, or do you think?
Maybe. I'm not really sure.
Okay. Matt's freshman, sophomore. As a sophomore, lone sophomore on the women's team, how do you see this group kind of work together?
It's definitely a lot different than last year. The fact that we had to travel in bands to the AG pool definitely helped us bond on a social level and become more connected in that way. I think that overall, I don't regret anything of the season. We are like a tight unit, and I really like our team. So.
Now, last year you were the the young star coming up. This year you're the lone sophomore. Did you pick up anything from last year, or did you feel a need to be a leader, especially with those kind of tough times without a pool?
Yeah, definitely. Last year I learned a lot from the sophomore girls. They taught me a lot about swimming fast, and this year, I guess it carried over naturally. The younger ones would, not saying that they're younger, but they would ask me about swim meets, so I would kind of tell them about it. And yeah, that's basically how.
Now the younger ones. Are you talking about your younger sister?
Yeah. Yeah.
But now there's a lot of those distance events. I mean, I think it's easy when you jump in and you go, okay, you have a 50 freestyle. You know what you're going to do. You're going to go as hard as you can, as quick as you can to get down and back. When you're in the 400 IM, do you think about, okay, I want to go hard in my butterfly, but how much do I save and how much do you go? Is there a lot of strategic swimming to it, or is it just attack?
There's a lot of strategy. I had a hard time this last weekend actually putting my strategy in water, and I kind of showed during finals when I lost. But yeah.
Well, yeah, you did have the highest placing for the men's team, the second place, and so a pretty good showing for you. You know, with 43 overall points, and you led the team with 47 points. Also, now for you, exactly, it's kind of the same question. Would you feel with the IMs and the 1650, you got to really think it through? Are you counting to yourself kind of is my pace going on, or my stroke pace in the 1650 or anything like that?
Oh yeah, the 1650. I mean, I was kind of like didn't know how to race that. It was my first time racing it, so I didn't really know what to do. I kind of like look over at coach, but yeah, there was strategy involved. You know.
See, I came in and joined you guys a little bit for swim practice today, and that's 1650 was my entire workout. So I'm glad you raced my entire workout there a little bit. Now, one of the things that you've had, which was interesting this year. I mean, we talked about you being the lone sophomore, but you weren't kind of alone, because you had there's a large contingent from the Templeton High School swim team. Mm-hmm. Templeton, a school without its own pool. Can you explain to me where we get all this speed from Templeton High School with you, your sister, Laura White, Tegan Trimble, and Taylor Mariucci? We had five players for swimmers on the team from Templeton. What was happening?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we all just tried really hard in high school, and we all were really into it. So we just, high school wasn't enough. We wanted to carry it over to Cuesta College,
Now, was that kind of a group decision, where is it kind of or is it just everybody just ended up here?
I think it was just that grade had a lot of really quality girls, and they all just really wanted to do it again, I guess. Yeah.
Well, everybody did it really well this year. Yeah. We saw last weekend the conference championships. Nice back in our own home pool. Matt, you're from San Jose. What was it that brought you down to Cuesta? I mean, we have a lot of students here from outside of the area. What was the draw for you for coming to Cuesta?
I just knew out of high school I wanted to keep swimming, and that Cuesta had a pretty strong aquatics program, both in water polo and in swimming.
Okay.
And I wanted to contribute to the team.
Well, you definitely have done that this year. I mean, have you? How was the transition? You feel pretty comfortable coming into San Luis Obispo? It's kind of the college feel, or?
Yeah. So yeah, I like it a lot more than my training back home.
Now, where would you have gone if it was San Jose City or West Valley, or where?
I think either De Anza or West Valley. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, well, that's good. Great that you've made a huge part of the swim team this year. I mean, one of the leading point getters. Now, Andy, for you, here's a kind of question. Last fall, after your big swim season as a freshman, this fall you joined the water polo team. A lot of the athletes do play both water polo and swimming. That wasn't available to you at Templeton High School. Was that something that you think helped, taking a break from just doing yardage? Or how do you feel that affected your swim season?
Yeah, it was great. I had a great coach, and we got in there, did some yardage, played some water polo, so it was really fun and different, and a good cross-training kind of thing. So, yeah, really
Matt, you ever played water polo? Or is that?
No, my high school didn't have water polo.
Do you think the guys are going to drag you out there next fall?
I don't know. I'm scared.
Well, it's always a good thing. It's good cross-training, I think, a little bit. I think if you talk to some of those great swimmers in the past, they've always done that. But now, do you have any goals coming into the state meet coming up right now? Do you just want to get in their place?
I swim my best.
Now, Andy, how about you? This year, it's on you. It's we don't know if any of the relays are going to make it, but do you have a certain time you want to make? You want to move on, or is this just?
I think qualifying was definitely a big step and a big goal I really wanted to achieve. And now I just want to leave it all in the pool, sophomore year, last year, maybe swimming ever. So I just want to do the best I can.
All right. And what are your plans for next season?
I don't know yet what I'll be doing. I might stick around at Cuesta for another year.
Another water polo season, maybe?
Maybe.
All right, that would be great. I'm sure it'd be a much needed season. Another left-hander out there with another left-handers graduating, so
right.
always useful. So I'd like to thank Matthew McDonnal and Andy Miller for joining us here at Cuesta Sports Monthly as they get ready for the 3CAA State Swimming and Diving Championships coming up in 2 weeks. So watch out for the Cuesta swimming as these two lead the Cougars in the pool. So thank you very much for joining us. When we come back, we'll meet with track athletes Christine Moreno and Matt Tyler here on Cuesta Sports Monthly. We're back on campus with Cuesta Sports Monthly. I'm Peter Schuler, and I am joined by track athletes Christine Moreno and Matt Tyler. Matt, Christine, welcome back to Cuesta Sports Monthly. You guys have just completed the Western State Conference prelims, the beginning of a basically 5-week trial to reach the state meet, a month-long trial because you have the conference finals, regional prelims, regional finals, and then finally the state track and field meet. So you guys, both of you guys are sophomores. You've been through the rigmarole about this before. You reached the regionals as a freshman 2 years ago, state qualifier last year, Matt and Decathlon. Outlook for the state as a team-wise, how are you guys feeling for the women's team right now as you come into the conference finals?
For the women's team, we're doing pretty good. We have a lot of really strong girls right now that are top contenders, definitely. We're a small team, but we're powerful.
Right, you have a small team this year, but everybody seems to be scoring.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The sprint team is you. There's a couple of filers, but you have a solid athlete in each spot, but not a lot of depth this year. Men, you guys have a little more depth, and one of the things you guys are chasing right now, the prelims, you're 1 point behind. Cuesta College, this is the 46th year of men's track and field. Yeah. Just 1 point out of first place with the first conference title in school history on the thing. How is that something the team is aware of? Is that?
Yeah, we've definitely had the conference title in the back of our minds throughout training, even in the fall. So it's a huge goal for all of us, and it's definitely attainable. We just got to really come through this week. And Coach has been telling us that he's running the numbers, and as long as we all do what he knows we can and what we know we can come out victorious. That
would be a pretty big thing. I should say the men have never won a title, and they've never finished second. They've been third 9 times. So this is on the verge of a historic season right now, and you guys have a lot of athletes who are, you're coming back, and we have some athletes who had standout track cross country seasons. There's a lot of depth and a lot of skill out there, and it's kind of so everybody's kind of fired up on this weekend coming up in Bakersfield, right?
Definitely.
All right. Now you've already qualified for state in the decathlon. Yeah. Now you're right up there for the long jump, triple jump, high jump. You're a multi-talented athlete. I mean, is there a particular event that you like the most, or is it?
I'd have to say high jump is my favorite. It's been my favorite ever since like middle school and high school too. Yeah, and then long jump is a close second as well.
All right. So the throwing and the running stuff.
I've been picking up on it. I've actually been growing to love the throws a bit more as I've improved.
All right. Now you personally, you do a lot of sports. You like kind of like the extreme sports. On your form, you put down that you did parkour. So it's interesting. You mix your long jump, your triple jump, and you're running all kind of into that. Is that? You'd rather just fly. Is that kind of your thing? As much time in the air as possible.
I do love being airborne. And so, yeah, I did diving in high school as well, and I have a gymnastics background.
Okay, so that's so. What brought you into track from that background? Is that can I keep going on that one?
Yeah, my dad actually did track and diving in high school as well. I got into it naturally though. Like he didn't kind of encourage me to do it, but he was definitely really excited that I was following in his footsteps. And then alongside that, with parkour and other mountain biking, just other sports, like I always wanted to stay active and try to push myself. And then track was kind of the main medium in which I could. You
can involve all your interests.
Yeah, exactly.
And so is that kind of one of the things that the decathlon kind of does for you too? Is that
most definitely? Yeah.
So you don't want to be locked into one event.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, Christine, you're our sprinter. One of the few people, maybe the only one, who ranks in Cuesta's top 10 in both the 100, 200, and the 400. Is there a distance that you feel most comfortable with? I mean,
the 400 definitely. Okay. That's the only one where I feel like it's long enough and the pain's there, and I just love the 4.
little extend that 100 a little bit. That was your main event 2 years ago. You reached the regional finals as a freshman, true freshman. Last year you took off as a redshirt season. What was that redshirt season? Can you come back now faster in the shorter events too? How was that? How did you use that redshirt season for yourself?
I definitely focused mostly on building up my cardiovascular ability. I did cross country, focused mainly on cross, built myself up to do extremely well in cross. And then when it came to track season, I just basically trained hard for the entire season without really any down weeks. And I was still hitting marks that I should have if I was in regular season. So it was just building up all of my power for this season so I could do well.
So yeah, so last week you ran in the 100 and the...
I ran in the 2 and the 4.
2 and the 4. And you'll do those two both in finals next week, right?
Yes.
So that kind of move on right there. Now, Matt, now you have a chance. You qualified for the state meet last year. I believe as personal reasons or family reasons you weren't able to go to the state meet.
Right.
Is that kind of something that you're looking forward to this year? Because both of you guys have competed up to the regional level, but have not actually been to the state meet yet. You qualified, but were unable to attend.
Right.
And you reached the finals last year. So the state meet goal is something you guys have both been carrying on right now. Now,
yeah, I'm definitely excited to compete in state, especially since now I have the opportunity and I can work on my training more and more with that goal in mind, knowing for sure that I'll be competing. It'll be a really personal thing for me to, like I said, I like to push my limits. So just to try to get after what I know I can do.
Now, you came here after your first year. You're from Livermore. Went to Las Positas the first year.
Right.
Was track one of the reasons? Why did you end up coming to Cuesta College? Just as that?
Yeah, I was going to LASPO, and they actually don't have a track team, and so I was kind of feeling a little jittery, trying to get my
You
blood
do seem
flowing.
like a guy who needs to be moving a lot.
I definitely need to have some kind of outlet, and so then Brian Locher called me up and invited me on the team after he connected with my old high school coach, who also ran for Cuesta. And so as soon as I got the call, I was really excited at the idea of coming to a community college and being able to run again.
And now, for students coming from out of the area, I mean, what are some of those things, besides the great track team, Cuesta College itself and the San Luis Obispo, are those things you recommend, and what are kind of your favorite parts about that?
Most definitely, yeah. Living in the San Luis Obispo area has been some of the best. This is the best 2 years of my life, for sure. And I'm already, there's like a month left that I'll be in SLO, and I'm already starting to miss it.
Now, are you planning to transfer on right away, or?
Yeah, I'll be going to Cal Poly Pomona in the fall.
Okay, Cal Poly, but it's Pomona.
Yeah,
it's a little bit further away from home. Is that a kind of a conscious choice to just kind of expand your horizons a little bit further? Or?
Yeah, definitely, and I'll be running the decathlon there as well.
All right.
And my sister went to Azusa Pacific.
Okay.
So she's done college in LA and then commuting back up to the Bay Area. So I've gotten some tips from her too.
You gotta get the high-speed rail going, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Christine, you're a local kid out of Oceano, Royal Grande High School. What are the things for you? I mean, one of the cool things about Cuesta College, I think, is so many of the students and student athletes are from outside of the area. Is that something that appealed to you when coming to Cuesta College? Because it wasn't just everybody from Royal Grande's here.
No, when I originally came here, Cuesta wasn't like always, I don't think it's anybody's like first choice right out of high school. My dad actually lost his job in the beginning parts, so I was just like, oh shoot, okay, well I have to do what I can
That would make the
to
transition.
help. Yeah. So I came to Cuesta in the beginning of my cross country season. My mom actually went up to Brian and was like, oh, my daughter runs. It would be really cool if she could go to Cuesta and run for you guys. So my mom was basically
She's your advocate.
Yeah.
She is your agent. She was your agent.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So talked to Brian. He got me super psyched about coming to Cuesta. It was really convenient for me, for one, because it's an easy 20-minute drive, and then I pick up my mom after work, and then we drive home together. So it's it's easy.
Now, was running something that you've just, I mean, everybody runs, but what was the draw, especially the sprint events? Is that where you said, that's what I'm going to do? Did you play other sports and then just said, I'm really fast?
Not really. I started falling in love with running since kindergarten.
Okay.
Since I won my first turkey trot. So basically, like, my kindergarten teacher went up to my dad and was like, she can run. And I was like, cool.
Was she out of breath when she said that?
Actually, I was just getting over a cold.
Okay.
And then I didn't start falling in love with more distancy type races until my middle school teacher forced me to do the 400. And I was just like gritting my teeth doing it.
And you found you loved it.
I loved it. I ended up like getting our team from last place all the way into third, like with an entire lap in front of us. And I was just like, you know what? I can build on this and I can be good at it.
All right. Well, maybe we can build on it this over the next month as we go to state. Best of luck to both of you guys. We'd like to thank you very much for joining us here on Cuesta Sports Monthly. Up next, academic counselor Katherine Gritton. I'd like to thank Matt Tyler and Christine Moreno for joining us. We'll be right back after these messages. We're back on campus at Cuesta Sports Monthly. I'm Peter Schuler, and I'm joined today by academic counselor Katherine Gritton. So, Katherine, welcome to Cuesta Sports Monthly. You do a lot of things here at Cuesta College, working with athletes, working with regular students, but you're an athlete yourself. Talk about a little bit about, former water polo player, UC Davis, national team, and how that's kind of moved on from there.
Sure. So I started playing sports when I was younger, like most of us, because you played as well. And I played water polo, and I also swam. I played on a high school boys team. I think that's probably the unique situation that I come from, because now women's water polo is at the high school and U10, U12, so younger kids. I have a daughter, that plays, and she's a high school student, and she plays on an all-girls team. So when I was younger, I played on a boys team, and then when I graduated from high school, I was recruited and played for UC Davis, and I was actually a dual athlete. I played water polo for UC Davis, and then I also swam one season. And probably, as you know, because you're an athlete also, and you played water polo, that it's hard to be a two-sport athlete at the university level, but It's one of those things where now when I talk to student athletes, I can talk to them about balancing time and playing sports and participating and working and things like that. And then from Davis, I went on and I was a national team player, which means I played on the United States national team for water polo. And I actually did that while I was in college. I started my freshman year in college, I started making the national team and did that all the way until right before the Olympics, the first year that women's water polo was in the Olympics, and then I stopped playing. So
I think it's kind of a similar thing. I think I just before the '96 team, I think that's when I left to for you in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
But, so being a student athlete and going through that whole thing, I think a lot of the students recognize that you understand what it kind of takes to be a student athlete, and how does that inform you as a counselor when you're working with student athletes a little bit?
I think that when I work with student athletes, sometimes I give them my background and sometimes I don't, it just depends. But I think that I can relate when they're struggling or when they have some unrealistic goals sometimes. And sometimes they can balance it. I mean, I think one of the uniquenesses for a student athlete is that they're not only a student and they have to do well academically, but they also have to balance their sport. And then as a community college student athlete, a lot of times they're also working. And so when I meet with them, if I think they're struggling, or when I check in, like in a counseling appointment, for example, a student will come in and I check in with them and say, hey, how are you doing today? How are your classes? And if it's a student athlete and they start talking about how things are going, as well as talking about their sport, I can see, like if they're not doing well in a math class, then that's something we'll start talking about and figuring out. And then every once in a while, I'll bring in that I was a student athlete and I totally understand, or, they need to step up to the plate and do better and balance their time management.
Yeah, student athletes do have a lot of different things, but one of the other things we have here at Cuesta College is so many of our students, 60% of our student athletes, but also 40% of our students are from outside of San Luis Obispo, so they're dealing with things, jobs, athletics, new housing, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those type of students to keep them from falling behind or getting buried a little bit by their new experiences?
Yeah, I think it's nice that you bring that up. It's really hard, and I think some students think they're coming to, especially if they're coming from the valley, they're coming to the coast, and how exciting it is to be at the coast and be away from home, and they're going to be playing a sport, something they've always dreamt of doing maybe at the college level, and it is definitely challenging, and I think that when we work with students, we have an out-of-district orientation for student athletes, which means if they come from somewhere other than the San Luis Obispo County, they can come and we do an orientation, and at the orientation we even talk to them about being really careful about scheduling your first semester, because not only are you starting college, which could be different, and playing a sport at the college level, but you're also moving away from home, so no longer is your mom maybe helping you, even with simple things like washing your clothes or making a meal for you. You're going to be doing that all on your own, but that you now have school and your classes, and to be realistic about it.
Yeah, one of the important things with San Luis Obispo actually having a dwindling high school population.
Yeah, yes, we do.
Is to make sure that retention comes. And so you do feel that when you're counseling that yes, we have to make sure that these students are in a situation to succeed, and that's kind of that goal right there, to get those. Because if they fail and they go home, then maybe that next kid may not come over here because somebody else failed or something like that.
And
so there's a lot of pressure.
And that is true. We see a lot of that where if a student is successful, we have some students that come from, for example, from Hawaii, and we'll see a trail of students from the Hawaiian Islands, and if they don't do well, then they don't tend to not come back. And it's the same thing from the Valley. We'll see kids come from like Clovis West or Clovis High School, and we'll see them come, and if they're not successful, then they may not continue to come. And I definitely think that if we don't have those safety nets, taking advantage of our tutorial center, track and field, they have tutoring, and they work with the students to make sure that they're doing their study time. And I think those things really help our students to know what's available to them, and student athletes in particular. Priority registration, those are definitely some advantages that they need to take. There are definitely some safety nets that we put into play that they should take advantage of.
Yeah, the priority registration is a big thing. I think because, and I think there are special groups, and athletics is one of them where you are traveling, you're doing all those things, and so having that priority registration, having that opportunity to meet with the counselors, and one of the things they have to do is have a student educational plan or an SEP.
Right.
And that's one of those chores right there that you have to be involved with a lot. Is that?
Yeah, and it's a regulation not only for the community colleges, but if they decide to transfer, they have that same step that they have to do as a student education plan. And I think for a lot of students, it helps them visualize how long it's going to take them to reach their goal. So depending on what their goal is, whether it's to go to a community college and participate in sports and then transfer and be a student, or if it's they're coming to the community college as a student athlete and continuing on as a student athlete at the 4-year level, they need to be able to see how long it's going to take, because there sometimes are little hiccups, where they don't pass a class, or they don't complete enough units to participate, and then they have to figure out a way to make up those units. And I think every student that comes in, they may drag their feet in wanting to make an appointment to do student ed plan or student education plan. But once they do it, they can definitely see what's realistic. And also talking about sometimes their major or a career goal, because sometimes they don't really know, as you know. I mean, none of us know at 17, 18, 19 what we're going to do. And on average...
the world is yours at that point.
Right?
So you got to take them back a little bit and put them on a realistic plan.
Yeah, and it's also hard to make a decision. I mean, we ask them to make a decision, and it's very hard. And different athletes have different expectations as far as what they're going to do when they transfer. Some students, as you know, are NCAA qualifiers, and the requirements for that student athlete is different than somebody who is not. And so it's important for us to stay on. I'm one of the athletic counselors, but Blake Reed is the other counselor that works with student athletes, and we have to know the regulations to make sure that when we're working with a student, we set them on the path that's going to be the best.
And those are always changing, so you have to keep up with the NCAA Division I, Division II. NAIA now is apparently changing their thing, so there's a lot of things, those options that might have been available to a student who wasn't as strong before may not be available in the future.
Right.
So those kind of things. Now, when you are working with those transfers, and you work a lot with kids from all over, do you kind of, are there schools that you're looking at that you kind of go, okay, I know we can get you there, or something like that?
Because
just Cuesta College is it's important for us. I know a lot of our athletes transfer, but also our transfer rate to CSU and UCs is kind of a big thing. So
and what I've seen, it's interesting in the past, so I've worked at Cuesta for 18 years, and in the past, we would always send students to the CSUs and UCs, and now what we're seeing is most of our students are transferring out of state, and what we're seeing is the Western University Exchange, which is called the WUI, and that's really neat because it's for students who, even if you're not a student athlete and you want to pay in-state tuition, there's schools in like Washington and Oregon and Arizona and Nevada, and you can pay in-state tuition. And I think that now I actually talk to a lot of students not only to go to the state schools or the UCs, but to go out of state. And what we're also seeing is, and you may already know this, is with the state schools, so for example like Cal Poly or Long Beach State or Fresno State, is we have the degree with a guarantee, which means if they meet the degree requirements, they're guaranteed to get into a state school. It may not be the school of their choice, like for example, it might not be Cal Poly per se, but let's say they get denied by Cal Poly and they've received an associate transfer degree, then they're guaranteed to get into another state school even if they didn't apply.
So if they just get their job done,
they'll get into a state school. And we have something like that also for the UC system. It's the TAG agreement. Not every UC has this agreement, but it's basically a contract. If you meet the requirements and you have a certain GPA, then you're guaranteed to get into the UC system.
Well, that's one of those things we really count about here at Cuesta College. And Cuesta College, of course, is our scholar athletes do have won more scholar athlete awards than any other school in the state. And Catherine, you and the counseling department have been a big part of the success of Cuesta's, both academically and then, because they're there, it's still available for athletically. It's been a big part of Cuesta College. So I'd like to thank you very much for joining us here on Cuesta Sports Monthly. That does it for your Cuesta Sports Monthly for this month. I'm Peter Schuler. Be sure to join us every month for Cuesta College Sports Monthly, where this program has been broadcast and produced by Cuesta's broadcast communications class. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for being a fan of Cuesta College.